Kirill the Thrill, unranked last year because, well, he didn't play in the NHL. Jumps right in at number 35 after an incredible rookie season, one that won him the Calder Trophy, led all rookies in goals with 27, as well as points this year with 51. He's the first player in Wild franchise history to win the Calder Trophy, and he did so in impressive fashion. It just seems like when you think of the Minnesota Wild over the last couple of years, nothing really highlight-worthy, just a very good, steady-eddy team. And then this guy comes along, and every night you're like, I want to watch the Wild because you wanted to see what he was going to do.
And you know how hard that is? For any player, let alone a rookie. I don't care that he's played a few years over in the KHL prior to getting to Minnesota. He's still a rookie in the NHL. And right away, he became the GOAT. From the first weekend of the season, he was a go-to guy scoring, involved in overtime goals and the rest of it. And all year long, he was the guy the opposition was going to focus on to try to stop. And yet he still went out and created at that great level that he did, winning the Calder pretty handily when it was all said and done. And adding that element that Minnesota had missed so much, skill, dynamic performance. And you start thinking about the last 25 years, quarter century, most goals per game. Are you kidding? He's tied for third with Patrick Laine in the last quarter century, and look at the names on that list. Marek Svato, shout out to him in his great year that one year. But Kirill Kaprizov, really put it down scoring goals on a team where that's not necessarily their forte. He didn't just jump in with other high-end players and just kind of pick up. He was the high-end player and was dynamic. Well worth the wait, because we waited a while for him to get over to Minnesota, and he was fantastic when he finally got there.
Oh, there's the term sophomore slump for a reason. A lot of guys come in, they make a splash.
Not going to happen.
You're shaking. How
not going to happen.
Why not?
Because he's played 6 years professional hockey before he got here. He's been a pro. He's had great success and had to back that up with another great year. Because I think the sophomore slump, part of that for a lot of players is mental and emotional, more so than physical. I think it's just like you get in the NHL, you have some success, and you take a breath. Like, I made it. I'm an NHL
Especially
player
if you have
now.
success right away, you're like, oh, this is
I'm going to be okay.
Easy, but
I'm going to be okay. I'm here, but he's not wired like that. The best players aren't wired like that. They just want more. They want bigger goal totals. They want more success, and they will push themselves to get that. So I'm not worried about him having any sort of sophomore slump in his second year, because he's a massive scorer in the KHL where it's very difficult to score there. He's had great success, including winning an Olympic gold medal. Won the Calder. He's just one of those guys. He's different. He's just not another NHL player. And his appearance on this list after his first year demonstrates that.
And if you're wondering about his conditioning and going into his sophomore season, you see some of the videos that get released on Instagram. He's flipping massive tires. There's this dirt track he's doing. It's insane.
I'm going to get him out to the farm and have him just go to work.
Yeah.
Clearly.
You don't seem like the guy that's farm strong, like Kirill the Thrill. But you are.
Or actually strong.
Or that. So is his bank account right now. Dougie Hamilton on fire, checking in at number 34, signed the 7-year, $63 million contract as a UFA with the New Jersey Devils back on July 28th, and deservedly so, one of 8 defensemen over the past 30 years to record at least 7 consecutive 10 or more goal seasons. Dougie Hamilton, teach me how to Dougie. Teach us why he is so good as far as the analytics community goes.
Well, we'll get to his goal scoring and the stuff he does well on the ice, but I think to really appreciate the value of Dougie Hamilton, you got to look beyond just the traditional stats of goals and assists and points and plus minus. And you look at some of his shot attempts, his Corsi, his goals for percentage, his scoring chance for percentage. These are all numbers that are in the top 15 of all defensemen. So, when he gets on the ice tilts in his team's favor. They get more shots, they get more chances, they get more goals. That's what you want for all your players, but specifically Dougie Hamilton. So he might not get 75 points in an 80-game season. But over the course of time, when you play enough games and you have guys step on the ice and can tilt the ice like he has, like he does, there is great value there. Also, I think a lot of people say, well, when he play, he played with other great players. When he played with Mark Giordano, he carried him. When he played with Brett Pesce or Slavin, he carried him. In fact, that's wrong. When you look at those numbers, his numbers without those guys were better than their numbers without him. He thrived without them more so than they did without him. So he can do it on his own. He'll have to do that. He'll have to be a lead dog in Jersey when he goes there. But I think he just has been a very consistent, effective defenseman. 6'5", right shot defenseman who scores double-digit goals. I mean, that is exactly what you want. Skates really well for a guy his size, can bring it on the power play, can kill penalties, played in pressure situations, played on good teams, been around good organizations. Everything to like about Dougie Hamilton. In fact, I think I had him a little higher than this on my list. I think you can really appreciate some of the subtle things he does and how he helps your team win night after night.
And that's why Jersey went out and signed him to a big ticket. Look, he doesn't make them an instant cup contender, but how improved are the New Jersey Devils with a guy like Dougie Hamilton on their back end for the foreseeable future?
Significantly improved. You start looking at the right side now. Hamilton, a number one guy, can step right in there. And Severson, a really solid number two pair. Ty Smith looks like he's going to be really good. Ryan Graves can have a really good season in the first pair. Well, maybe have a top four to be there in the PK if he can be healthy, bring his game back a little bit. And it's a different looking group in Jersey if everything comes together the way it should. But so much of it will flow from Dougie Hamilton. He's going to have to not only take the responsibility in the ice time, but also kind of the leadership requirements of being the person that your team turns to be great every night, to be a difference maker. And I think, you know, he's played on a few different teams, and he's kind of grown and matured into an elite level player. He's probably never been in this situation, though, where he's been the go-to guy, the face of the defense corps. He'll be that in Jersey. But I think he's up to the task. You look at the numbers and the way he plays. He is just everything you want in a good defenseman. He does.
He'll be 28 at the start of
prime of his life.
But it feels like he's been in the league forever, and he has since an 18-year-old in Boston. So it's been 10 years in the NHL and still getting it done. Evgeny Malkin coming in at number 33. Played 33 games a year ago, 8 goals, 20 points. He is entering the final season of an 8-year, $76 million contract. He can become a UFA coming up after this year. So some big decisions to be made from the front office with regards to Crosby and Malkin coming up in Pittsburgh. But when you talk about the narrative of Evgeny Malkin, everybody seems to think he's on the back nine of his career. He is. Is his game declining, though?
Well, maybe slightly from being the best player in the world, but he's still an amazingly talented player. In a difficult injury-plagued season, he's basically a point-a-game player. I think that is great productions. I know it's not been quite what it once was, but goals are down, but assists and points are almost the same. I mean, he's averaging more than a point a game. So if we're saying you're on the back nine, you're falling off, but you're still putting up, what, a 90-point pace?
It's good.
That's good. We'll take it. And I think he's going to pass. He's going to be the second highest scoring Russian player after this season. I think he'll get 75-plus points. He has a chance to get healthy, have a full summer of training. And Evgeny Malkin, make no mistake, he can be quiet at times when the cameras are on. He's got great personality when they are off. And he's got great competitive spirit. And so I would expect him to not love the results from last year, not playing all the games, not getting as many points as he would have liked. And he's going to bounce back and have a great year. I think he's going to pass Sergei Fedorov. And now he's not going to catch Ovechkin ever because Ovi's going to keep plugging himself. But it's going to be Ovi Malkin 1-2 when it's all said and done after this season. I've had a chance to be on the ice with Evgeny Malkin, and I've said this before. Just being on the ice, watching him do his thing. He is the most talented player I've ever been on the ice with, to play with and kind of and work with.
Yeah.
The stuff he can do, the combination
that was that one with the GoPros, just dump a bunch of pucks and say,
the size, the skill, the speed, the shot, reach, hands, all of it. He is such a unique player. That's why he's one of the best players in the history of the game. He's just an incredible, incredible player. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon. You know, he benefits by playing with Sidney Crosby because he doesn't have to do some of the things that Sidney Crosby takes on. But he also maybe is not thought of as highly as he should be because he plays with Sidney Crosby. And he's not Sidney Crosby. He's not as good as Sid. Doesn't mean he's not great.
Yeah. You said he's not going anywhere anytime soon. I assume you equate that to the top 50 countdown. What about that sweater he's wearing? Final year of his deal in Pittsburgh. If you're the Penguins,
got to bring him back. You have to. Like, I don't think you have to keep running it back while these guys are still effective players, and they still are. Evgeny Malkin keeps on keeping on. So I think he's not going anywhere on this list. He's not going anywhere away from Pittsburgh either. He's going to be a great player for a long time.
Well, you mentioned Dougie Hamilton. How about another top talented young defenseman checking in at number 32? It's the big D-man for the Dallas Stars, Miro Heiskanen, ranked 45th on our list a year ago, jumping up a couple of spots to 32. And why not? One of 7 defensemen to record 90 or more points and commit under 50 PIMs over the last 3 seasons combined. Heiskanen had 95 points and 40 PIMs during the last 3 years. 55 games last year down in Dallas. 8 goals, 19 assists, totaling 27 points. And when you think of some of the guys that can really skate in the NHL, he's got to be up there. This guy can wheel.
And that's why he doesn't take penalties, because he's not reaching. He's skating to catch you, and he uses his feet to play defense, and that is his greatest asset. He's just an exceptional skater both ways, both with the puck. Everyone thinks great skater is about going forward, right? You can attack, you can create odd-man rushes, you can join the rush, you can make plays. All that is absolutely true. You walk the line, you see the happy feet cutting back and forth. It's a nightmare for a winger to try to play like that. But it's also the other way. Your best defense can come with your good feet and your good hockey sense. And I think he uses his skating ability both ways, both offensively and defensively. And what makes Miro Heiskanen so interesting to me is that the numbers are great. And he plays 25 minutes a night, 27 points last year. That's really, really good. But I think you look at the stuff he does. You look at a lot of the underlying numbers that he creates. And it is not yet reflected in the traditional goals and assists how good he is. He signed that massive deal, and most guys sign those big deals. You're like, okay, he's going to be that level for a while. I think he is a guy who signed that big contract, and you could say, no, he has a lot more to give and to grow because the foundational pieces of his game are there. A lot of the process stuff that he does on the ice is there. I just think it hasn't translated yet to goals and assists. Now, part of that is Dallas just don't score very much.
Right.
But I think you'll see him get higher point totals going forward because he does so many things well.
And paired up with Ryan Suter this year, so maybe that point total rises because you have such a guy who can lock it down defensively and let him maybe run with the reins up.
One thing to watch when he plays with Suter, if they happen to play together, is Ryan Suter now a very good defenseman, very good at passing the puck, but he likes his partner to go back and get it. Because, a little bit older, doesn't go back there quite as well.
Get it.
Miro Heiskanen is the perfect guy to do that. You go back there, and off you go and make a play, and you're moving out the other way.
Competition. He's going around the net, and he's going.
Well, we saw him fall when he did his first one there, actually. But, yeah, he can pick him up and put him down. But
certainly can.
He's. I expect more big things out of him coming up, probably climbing on this list in the future.
Charlie McAvoy jumping up from 44th last year to 31 this year, second to Victor Hedman in plus-minus among all dimensions, entering the NHL in 2017, 2018, and without Big Zdeno Chara and Torrey Krug for the first time in his career. McAvoy took charge of the Boston Blue Line. Those minutes way up, ended up 5th in the Norris Trophy voting this year for the 2020-2021 season. When it comes to responsibility, maybe nobody has more responsibility on the Boston Blue Line than young Chucky Bright Lights.
It's amazing that a guy who plays in Boston, one of the biggest markets, he's a big-time star, as evidenced by a spot on this roster. And the amount of minutes he plays, he still finished top 5 in the Norris. And yet I don't think he gets enough attention for how good he is. And maybe he played in a different situation, he might get more because he might get more points. But again, much like Dougie Hamilton, you look at some of his numbers last year, his shot attempts for, his Corsi, his goals for, scoring chance for, and his zone entries. I mean, like, he's a top 10 defender in all those different categories. And maybe those aren't always known when you just look at goals and assists. But, man, is he exactly what you want as a coach or as a teammate to be on the ice with? Because he's going to make good decisions, he's going to play good defense, and the best part about good defense is then he has the skill to transition it to good offense. And he might not always pick up points in that regard, but he's always on the ice when good things are happening for Boston. He plays such a huge role, especially with the departure of those guys you mentioned, the foundational pieces on defense that they had when he first started his career. They're not there anymore. He's the guy, and he is more than capable of doing it. He is such a good player. I think I had him pretty high on my list.
You had him 18, right?
Inside the top 20 for my list. And I think a Norris Trophy is not necessarily too far away for him. So he does everything you want, and he's perfect for the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
Good defensive team who just beat you. Don't worry about trying to outscore you, and he's good at that.
And a great cap hit, $4.5 million. So if you're Charlie McAvoy, you're looking at
Dougie
Hamilton. You're like,
you're looking at Werenski.
Yeah.
You're looking at Jones. You're looking at Hamilton. You're saying, I deserve that and then some because he's better than all those guys.